things to you that have never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
Don't ever forget, folks, they made it in a lab. They knew it would kill you. They released it anyway, and then they told the bastards in the media to make you take it. And don't ever let them forget. That truth is going to come out and become more and more evident over the days and weeks ahead. I am nothing surer. How are you? Been a good day today? I hope you've had a reasonable one. I've been trying to figure out what I'm going to do about my glasses. They're falling to pieces, and I've now discovered that the way that they make these glasses also it's a bit dependent on not just where you put them here, but it's the bendability level here. And unfortunately, they're a bit bendable, if you know what I mean. So if you see me leaning in to try and squeeze things and read things, that is why. So my apologies if I'm squirming around in the seats. I hope you've had a great day. I've had a very interesting one. We'll catch up with a couple of whistleblowers shortly who I caught up with for a coffee earlier today. And they had some very interesting things to say. Aussie Sue first in the house tonight. God love you, woman. I hope you are doing well. And, of course, your obligatory first out message. Now, just as I came on, I saw a message come up from Wayno, who said the Toyota Land Cruiser Club is in this weekend at the Stony Creek Bush Camp and Caravan Park. Bloody great place to stay in South Australia. A bit of fornication going on in the camp ovens. I just want to be clear. I think you meant fornicatoring, because if there's fornicationing going on in the camp ovens, got a significant issue. I think there's going to be some people who getting their bits burnt, if you know what I mean. But fornicatora, I'm sure that was just a typo on your behalf, Wayno. Positive of it, in fact. Hello, Gail. Hope you are okay, and nice to have you involved in the show tonight. Who else was in? Pete, our main man in Pinaroo, is in the house. Robert, hope you're doing well and getting ready for the next trip, which I think you said was Birdsville for the races. Is that September? So I hope that goes well. I don't have a four-wheel drive, and I seriously think the bus would go 100 Ks on the corrugation, and by the time we got 100 Ks, there probably wouldn't be too much left of it, I dare say. Just trying to see. Hello, Daniel. Harm, been a little while since we've heard from you, brother. Hope you're doing all right, and don't know which part of the country you're in, probably the Blue Mountains. Hope you're doing okay down that part of the world. Hello, Sandy. God love you. What's going on in your part of the world? Hope we're all safe and well. Sincere apologies. Keep falling asleep in the middle of the show. Wake up! God love you. You do get out of bed at 3 o'clock in the morning to tend the donkeys, so you are forgiven. I understand completely. Being an old breakfast radio announcer, I was out of bed this morning at about, call it 5 o'clock, I suppose. And by this end of the day, the battery does tend to get a little noddy, so to speak. So I do understand completely. Tony, nice to have you in the house, my friend, and the lovely Connie, and I'm sure Alan will be floating around there somewhere too. I hope Margie is in the house, and hello to her house guest, Sharon. I hope you're having a great stay, Sharon. Getting a new helmet tomorrow. Now, Daniel's scooter is a bloody amazing scooter, I've got to tell you. Getting a new helmet for using the scooter tomorrow. The dude at the shop laughed when I said it would make me look younger. Oh, well, mate, I think it's, you've got to have the right shoes too, don't you? You've got to have Converse or Convex or conned out of it. And I'm sure you've got the right sort of not quite shorts, not quite long pants kind of pants to wear. They're pretty cool. And I don't know that a singlet in Canberra would be the right kind of dress at the moment, but I'm sure you'll find a good hoodie. God love you. Do they still have duffel coats? Can you still get duffel coats? They used to be the go, and in Canberra you'd want one of those. In fact, you'd probably want two of them. Who else do we have floating around? The lovely Deb Shippard. Hello, darling. Hope you are well. Sunflower is in the house. I hope you've had a good day, Sunflower. And have you done your castor oil thing? Asking for a friend. Just asking for a friend. I'll let you explain that in the chat. God, feels like a frost might be coming your way tonight, Deb. Not good if you're on the land. Got all sorts of things growing, and most of it doesn't like frost. I guess cherries do, but I don't know that you're growing too many cherries. Pete's saying he can use a good frost. There you go. It'll whack the stinging nettles. Yeah, that's good. Trash the neighbourhood canola. Yeah, that wouldn't be very flash. They wouldn't like that, would they? I thought I was looking at canola as we were driving up to Wayno's place there a couple of weeks ago in South Australia, but it turns out I was looking at paddocks full of yellow weed. But I believe now would be very pretty. It's all gone up. So lovely to see you all in the chat. I'm sorry if I've missed saying hello to you. G'day, Andrew. I'm scanning much faster now. And I've reached the end. So there you go. G'day, Ian. Hope you are doing all right. And Glenn, super dude. Good to have you in. All right. I think we're all saying hello, and it's all fun, and it's all bloody beautiful. All right. There's your duffel coat. Has 22 Greg Phillips on it. Good old days of Port Adelaide. I used to have a duffel coat when I was going to Monterey College. It would have 387 inside the collar of it because that was what every article of clothing I had at Monterey College had sewn on it. 387. It was where I was given my first, well, the first number I was aware of at any rate. But the bastards keep you going from there. I saw somebody ask about silver. $5,936 is gold at this particular moment. Got to be reasonably chunky with that. Yesterday, when I was having a look at silver, it was at about 85 Australian. It still is at about 85 Australian, $85.67. Don't get too upset by the fact that it's probably lower now than when you bought it. I know in my case, that's certainly the case. So don't go and get too upset. Things are going to change. It is going to be a good time for all. Follow what there's advice. And for that matter, Pete from Pinaroo, not that we give advice, they just point out what they do. They've been doing this for some time. And you might consider considering what they do in what you do going forward. Quick one back to Angie. Love those duffel coat. Doc Martin boots or Uggies. Ain't that the truth? Now, I don't have a pair of Ugg boots. I wish to God I did. I was just going to try and show you the pathetic excuse for Ugg boots that I have. But when it's freezing bloody cold and you don't have anything other than rubber boots to put on your feet to try and keep you warm, or your normal runners, which I've got to think I've got to get arrested sometime knowing my feet. Well, I made a very poor choice in my selection of not an Ugg boot because I found them tucked away in a container, and thought, oh, great, I'll dig those out and use them. And I remember after one night of wearing them, I remember now why they were tucked out. They were tucked out to be thrown away because these things just take on the odor of everything around them, I'm sure, and feed it back. It couldn't be my feet that smell that bad, surely to God. All right. Silver Fox, hope you're feeling all right, mate. And life, the universe, and everything is progressing well with your recovery. Dry as a bone was your jacket of choice. Yeah. I couldn't afford a dry as a bone. In fact, I thought I was pretty lucky to have one of those jackets at Monterey. They were made out of something extraordinarily thick and warm. Wool, maybe. Could it have been real wool? That might be why duffel coats cost so much. I think there was real wool involved with them. Too many synthetic Ugg boots out there now. Yes, real wool Ugg boots. But I went into... Now, I want to say there was a shop not far from you. I'm sure you know where the one I'm talking about, Sunflower, on the highway there at Palmwoods. I went in there to have a look at Ugg boots. This must be 2 winters ago. I think the cheapest pair of Ugg boots, and I'd like some of those ones that go up to your mid-calf because the short ones are just too grandfathery even for the grey beard. And I always wanted some that went, halfway up my shin, or to my knees. 200 and I want to say $45 was the basic pair. So, I didn't realize they had to kill 2 whole sheep for 2 Ugg boots. I mean, it does seem a little excessive, but anyway. Whew. Happy. It has been a while. Good to have you back. Hope you're with us for a while. Look forward to maybe a little email communication. Where have you been? Be very interested to learn that. You believe the Dryers of Bones store at Eagley Manufacturing Eagley? Well, yes. I believe there are something like that. I now have a look-alike kind of wannabe Dryers of Bone. It cost about a third of the price. It fits me, which was good because, you need one for a small horse to fit me. And I took it with me to South Australia and it never rained. Never really had the opportunity to wear it. Probably could have worn it as it was so cold, may have kept the lower half of me warm. Never thought of that until right now. Goes to show how inexperienced I am with things like Dryers of Bones and all of that. And I don't have a proper hat to wear with a Dryers of Bone. I think me pink crocodile wrangling hat, probably doesn't fit the Dryers of Bone image, I should be wearing a Voice of Freedom hat, shouldn't I? We do have those hats available on our website. You can go to merch.vofhq.com and click on the shop link and order yourself a new Voice of Freedom designed by Vince hat or an FBN hat. He's done some for the FBN as well, so it's good stuff. No problems, Abby. Good to have you back. And Angie, I think that's it. That hat sucks. Thank you, Paul. I think you told me last night I was also an ugly bastard, didn't you? I had growths on my face. I know you do it caringly, but nice of you to point that out. Always count on you for a positive comment to cheer my day. So good. There are so many of you out there willing to give me cheery things for my day. I feel blessed. All right, let's get into it. Here's a bit of interest. Would you like to be the voice of Secret Harbour? One Nation Need You. Now, I haven't heard about the West Australian elections coming up anytime soon. I haven't heard about anything coming up in Western Australia federally, and I'm not completely sure that Secret Harbour is a federal seat. I think it's more a state-based seat. But One Nation want you. They seem to be wanting you more than they want people in Victoria at the moment because, they apparently have 1,200 or more people lined up wanting to be One Nation representatives in Victoria. The process of getting selected to be a One Nation person in Victoria is much slower than you would hope it to be. I guess particularly for those people going through it and wanting to learn more. Now, I know a couple of people who are going through the process, but they seem to be at about the same place in the process. Now, that either indicates to me that they've started at the same time and it just progresses as it progresses, or that they're not progressing at all. They've been itemized and blocked off and nobody's just gone to them to say, hey, listen, don't hold out too much hope. We're moving on. We've got better applicants, because One Nation don't want to upset people like that 5 months out from an election. Why? Well, because they might just decide to go independent. and all that good work that they've done in their community hopefully would go to them as an independent, but it may not, and it may not go to One Nation. So the people that I'm speaking to in Victoria, at least, are saying to me, can you ask One Nation to, give us an indication of what's going on, and is the process going? I have no secret inroads to One Nation at all. I mean, I can send a text to James Ashby or Malcolm Roberts, but I don't even know if they read them. James occasionally replies, so I know he does read them. He hasn't replied to my last few. There's probably a reason for that. And Malcolm's a bit the same. But they're busy men, and I've got to say Malcolm Roberts has been doing pretty well lately. He's been going through and putting up some pretty good YouTube stuff where he has been catching out the bureaucracy. Today he posted one. I was in the middle of watching it. I've got to say he was eviscerating this person, and bang, video taken down, unavailable, kicked mid-stream. So I found that a little intriguing. And he has also today posted, may as well get into it now, a couple of videos to do with his questioning in Senate estimates of Chrissy Barrett, the AFP commissioner. Now, you might recall, I think it was May estimates that she fronted up and was asked a series of questions regarding the Ben Roberts-Smith arrest at Sydney Airport. The main points that she made were, she said the AFP and the Office of the Special Investigator, the OSI, had made principled and legally sound decisions throughout the investigation consistent with legislation and governance. She emphasised that the AFP members swear an oath to carry out their duties without fear or favour, without affection or ill will, and said this is a principle applied regardless of the person's status or public profile. My question would be, who questions those officers if they do break their oath? Anybody? Or do they just get some sort of counselling and quietly walk back to their desk? Anyway, let's keep going. She also explained the decision to arrest Robert Smith at Sydney Airport was based on operational considerations, not publicity. According to Barrett, intelligence indicated he did not have a fixed address. He must have had a fixed address for him to go and report out of state, because remember, he was allowed to come back to Queensland, had to go back to New South Wales to report to a New South Wales police station every third day, I think it is. So he was travelling from where he was on the northern end of the Gold Coast down one of the worst bits of road in Queensland, day or night, to try and get through in any rapid time. So he could poke his head into the Tweed police station, give them all a little chubby to be around the great man, I guess, and then sign the book and get home again. That is what we've got at the moment, although Ben has been allowed to travel, I think, recently interstate, but only into New South Wales. I think they kept him away from his own display at the War Memorial. I think they kept him away from that launch. But at any rate, Barrett rejected all suggestions that Robert Smith would simply have been invited to surrender, stating that it was not appropriately viable considering the seriousness of the alleged offences and the circumstances of the investigators. What the hell is ringing there? I'm very sorry. Got people who are ringing me and don't know what I'm doing. You should be watching the show. What can I say? At any rate, they said it was all operational. They said Ben Roberts-Smith might have been going overseas. Did you catch that one? No fixed address. They had believed, investigators believe he intended to relocate overseas. How would he have got out of the country? He has to go through customs, or are you suggesting that he, the two girls and the girlfriend were all going to get smuggled out on some SAS clandestine mission, boat operation to smuggle him out of Cairns and across to Papua New Guinea before he copped a slow boat to God knows where? Actually, there probably was one of those plans in operation. But the AFP wouldn't have known about it, nor the OSI or anybody else. However, when she was approached recently about these questions again, I want you to watch her reaction. It comes towards the end of the first clip, and you'll see it again. But watch this.
Midway through the second page, you say, the reason to arrest the individual in Sydney and not Brisbane was an operational decision. What do you mean by operational decision?
It was based on operational factors. So I said it was an operational decision that was determined after discussing with relevant partners.
Okay. It was an operational decision after discussing it with operational partners. Who were the operational partners? All right, well, the operational partners would have been the DPP, the people doing the prosecuting, the OSI, who are in the same office as the AFP, so that shouldn't have been too hard to liaise with. They probably would have needed to liaise with the airport so that they can get, you know, all of their police cars, police officers and cameramen on the air side easily, so they don't have to go through all the security, because it's such a pain in the ass to have to take your gun off. So that would be the operational partners in broad senses. Of course, there's the other operational partner, the government, but Murray Watt denies the government were a partner in this at any point. But operationally, what were those operational parameters that dictated Sydney was better than Melbourne? And to his credit, Malcolm Roberts pressed on.
So an operational decision in terms of getting the assets in the right place to do the arrest?
I'll pass to Deputy Commissioner McCartney.
Thank you, Senator. If you go to the Commissioner's statement, at the front of the statement, she makes it fairly clear we need to be careful with our language. This matter is before court, and we're at risk if we talk more about these issues.
Yes.
We talk more about these issues, we run the risk, and these information is ventilated through this committee. We run the risk of potential and impact on a fair trial. There were a range of operational matters, like the Commissioner's discussed, but taking into account that balance and trying to be helpful to the committee, Senator, we're going to err on the side of caution and say, you know, those operational matters may be relevant to the court case, so we'll decline on answering that one.
Senator, we've really tried to provide as much information as we can in the statement. To be as helpful as we can, and at the outset, as I said, we understand that of course it's of significant interest to the public, but of course we need to balance that with ensuring that there's a fair trial.
And you've got safety to consider as well.
Sorry, Senator.
You've got safety to consider as well.
Correct.
So I understand.
Operational matters. He's asked the question twice now, operational matters. What were those operational considerations? Now, nobody's asking them for methods and madness. What they are asking for, or he is asking for, is what were the defining factors, the differences between arresting Ben Roberts-Smith at Brisbane Airport or at Sydney Airport. Better still, Ben Roberts-Smith had been speaking with the department and said, I'm happy to go to your AFP office and answer any questions you like. I'll bring my lawyer. If you want to arrest me, I'll hand myself in there. No, Ben, no plans to do that. No, you go to Sydney, mate. That'll be fine. You'll be fine. So I wonder what other operational issues, methods, because we couldn't get it out of the first guy. But then I'm still really confused about the first two questions. But then Malcolm Roberts says this.
Okay, now I understand what operational decision means. Did you have a conversation or exchange?
Now I understand what operational decision means. Really? I have no idea how he gets to understand any of that unless there was some subtext I'm missing.
Okay, now I understand what operational decision means. Did you have a conversation or exchange emails with anyone within the Commonwealth Director of Public Prosecutions about where you intended to effect the arrest?
Senator, you asking me specifically or we, the AFP?
AFP.
Again, I'll pass to Deputy Commissioner McCartney.
So, Senator, division of responsibilities. The role of the Director of Public Prosecutions is to prosecute charges and offences. Once those charges have been affected by operational agencies such as the AFP and OSI did in this case, they were aware of the location being in New South Wales and Sydney. In terms of being aware of the exact location at the airport, I will take that one on notice, Senator, and come back to you.
Thank you.
So what he's trying to have you believe now is that after all this time, they still don't know how Channel 9 got wind, or all the other TV stations got wind of what was going on with Ben Roberts-Smith. They're now looking at the Department of Public Prosecutions as the leak because they're pretty sure it didn't come from them. Bullshit. Sorry, I should have coughed. I beg your pardon. Missing the cough. At any rate, I hope you're a bit more enlightened about the operational need to arrest Ben in Sydney rather than Brisbane. I've got to say I'm still quite confused about it. The only thing that really makes sense is that the jury pool in Sydney is going to lead decidedly more in a favourable way that I think the OSI and the DPI, or the DPP rather, would like it to go, than it would if it had a pool in Brisbane to be chosen from. Unfreaking believable. Unfreaking believable. But anyway, there are more unbelievable things happening in the world every day. I got told today that a new viewer thinks I'm an anti-Semitist. Hello, sir. I'm sorry you think that. And you're only going to be reinvigorated in your thoughts after we talk about this, because if you were to go back and look at some of my previous videos, you will have discovered that I am no great fan of Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israeli state doing what it does. Now, of course, that it's decimated Gaza and that it is leveling parts of Lebanon and is showing no signs of slowing down until it routs out whatever danger happens to lurk in the streets of Lebanon. But it is now also, as foretold by me months ago, it is now identifying its next big, great Satan, because Iran apparently now seems to be off the table. They reckon they've won that one. So they need someone new to fight, someone new to prosecute. And, of course, we had that foreign minister, Gavir, or whatever his name was, some months ago coming out and throwing knives at Turkey, explaining that Turkey was going to be the next big problem for the Jews. They're going to be the big people who hate us and are going to bash us and are going to make life hard for us, and we're going to cry about the Turks. Well, ta-da! Benjamin Netanyahu is on CNN crying about the Turks. Why? Because President Donald Trump might just sell the Turks some fairly rapid F-35 jets. Turkey doesn't have F-35 Lightnings at the moment. Only in that region, Israel, I think, has them. And Saudi Arabia is a little further away, but only Israel has them. Israel is now very upset that Turkey might get these jets. And what does it say? Well, Netanyahu says he threatens to destroy my country, the one and only Jewish state. Well, since 1948 anyway. But he's claiming that Erdogan is not exactly the role model of the United States. I would argue there aren't too many countries I would see following and using the United States, particularly at the moment, as a role model. That might be good, that might be bad. We'll have to wait and see. But I think that game is still playing out. But at the moment, Israel is stirring the pot. Nobody else. Israel is preparing the next round of war, the next level up, if you like, because we're not even done remotely with the current round of missile firing. And I can prove that to you thanks to my old mate, Andy Grace, who you might find on Facebook, always worth a good read. Here's what he picked up from Bandar Abbas last night.
همین الان بندر یا اول فصل بندر رو زدن بد زدن خیلی وحشتناک بود
They don't seem that big, really, do they? But then you
یاول بس دوباره جنگ شروع شد.
see them from a different direction. And they certainly sound like they've come with some intent. So that was Bandar Abbas last night. That was after the Iranians attacked a fleet. Not a fleet, I beg your pardon. I'm getting my Ukrainians and my Iranians mixed up. The Iranians went out and attacked a couple of cargo ships that didn't take the prescribed route through the Straits of Hormuz. And so they fired a couple of rockets into them. I don't think they're sinking these ships. They're not that stupid. They are blowing them up, making a lot of damage, engine, a lot of cost for the shipping companies, but not creating a lot of mess, if you like, in the Straits. So it's all very tactical. And the Ukrainians, which is what I was getting confused with, the Ukrainians the other day made what you would call a sneak drone attack using much smaller drones than the ones we've seen being flown out of Iran. These are much more in line with what we've seen produced by China, DJI, for instance, carrying small amounts of explosives, some bigger ones. They live streamed an attack on a black fleet of Russian oil ships. And they hit, I think there were 20 or more of those oil tankers moored in an area where they were ready to go and get some of this dark oil, so to speak. And it's dark from the system oil. 13 of those ships were attacked. I don't know whether any of them sank. Certainly a lot of them were on fire. So some reasonable explosives were used. But then Russia does what Russia does, and it hit back using hypersonic missiles, or one hypersonic missile. And that hypersonic missile hit a ammunition store. That ammunition store held a lot of ammunition. In fact, it held, from what we're led to believe, almost a majority of the news stores that had come into the country to try and help Ukraine from NATO, those sorts of things. So there were rockets, there were missiles, there were all sorts of things that went up in one hypersonic strike. There have also been reports that Zelensky is on the run from forces within his own country, his own government, trying to track him down. So whether or not that's true or not, only recently as the last day or two, he was off in some European country begging them for more money so that he can continue the fight with Russia. I think Russia should just get a few more of those hypersonic missiles and end the bloody thing once and for all. Seems to be dragged out. Speaking of dragging things out, the people of Spain always amaze me. They like to have a sleep in the middle of the day. And what do they do around this? Well, they go and do stupid things like this. So after you've run with the bulls and hopefully dodged having a horn put somewhere you never really wanted a horn, so much I could do with that. You get together and you have a party. Now they're dancing, but I don't quite understand why after you've been running with the bulls that the people of Pamplona would be dancing around that. It seems strange, doesn't it? I only bring it up because today I was accused of being anti-Semitic, and playing that just now will probably reinforce that thought in that gentleman's head. But the problem is that's an AI creation, sir. And I bring it up to show you and others that you can't always believe what you see. It's not about being anti-Semitic. It's about being clear thinking. And it's about wanting the best for everyone. And should we ever have the or should I ever have the great pleasure of meeting you, I'd love to have a conversation with you about all this. I've got to admit, I don't get to sit down with too many Jewish people. The ones that I have sat down with don't tend to be open-minded. They tend to follow a narrative that they've been programmed all their lives to accept, and they find it difficult that anybody my age, particularly, hasn't been programmed by the same narrative. I mean, I was told that same narrative. I guess I was programmed by it for a number of years, but these days it seems to be a little less stuck, if that makes any sense. Anyway, just food for thought. I would like to think that I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm pretty fair all round, but I am sick and tired of a race that, well, a religion, a race, I don't know what we call it. I'm sick and tired of the Jews crying all the time, woe is us, ramp up the security for us. Why, when do you as a nation look inwardly and say, why is everybody picking on us? Because I'm asking that question. Why do you perceive everybody as picking on you? What actions have you taken? What things have you done? What systems have you put in place that would get whole swathes of nations against you? I'm genuinely asking out of interest. Or is it beyond the Jewish nation to look at itself and inspect itself that way? To ask, well, why are we being persecuted all the time? Why is it always somebody saying, oh, the bloody Jews? And why are they always rubbing their hands together? And, you know, have you ever asked yourself why? I've asked many times. I don't get any answers, and I can't provide any because I'm not Jewish. But I would be very interested to learn some of those answers. And I do know a Jewish man who might be up for a conversation about this. I'm not sure. I will inquire. But I'm just sick and tired of that, as I know so many other people here in Australia are. Our groups, which are by representative size larger than any Jewish groups in this nation, don't get half the hearing that Jewish groups do when it comes to security, when it comes to, well, politics, when it comes to just about everything in this nation. Everybody else seems to be second in line to what Jewish wants are. And I want to know why. I want to know why you get to cry louder when we ask why. Nobody's saying you're not deserving of them. Just why are you deserving of them? Explain to us why. And please, for the love of God, or whoever you worship, explain to me why so many countries from the dawn of time have thrown the Jews out of their country. Why? I don't understand. I'm sure there are Jewish scholars that could tell me the answer to this. I would be very interested to learn. But it seems to me that since, I don't know, forever, the Jews have separated themselves one way or another from the rest of the civilizations they have encountered along the way. And at each turn, it's been woe is us. Oh, we're being persecuted. Oh, we're being picked on. Oh, we've been thrown out. Oh, we can't do. Oy vey. But why? Just a question. Just a question. If you have answers, I would love to hear them. Carl@vofhq.com. And if you want to come on and have a talk about it, then let's by all means do it. Speaking of having a talk, I got a lovely phone call last night that said, hey, we're around. You want to come and catch up? We want to catch up. Oh, okay, right. Yeah, let's catch up. Oh, okay, let's catch up tomorrow. So tomorrow became today, and today we got together with a couple of old friends. I look forward to this chat. When we get to sit down face to face, but the corruption whistleblowers are in town, so we've shared a coffee. How are you guys?
Oh, great. Thanks.
Wonderful to see you. You have had a fairly tumultuous last month or so. I guess we spoke to you not long after the raid. In fact, I think we were amongst the first people who spoke to you after the raid. Any further news to report? I see you've got the van back.
Yes, we got the van back. That was great. And they've still decided to keep our electrical items. So we're running like cavemen on old computers and dodgy old phones. So sorry if you can't contact us. But what we'd love to announce is that we have launched the ucsa.land webpage. And it's got the endorsement document on there for you all to see.
So this is what we were talking about last time we chatted. You guys were working on this with a group of others, including Mike Holt and quite a few others. You've made a few tweaks. The website is now live, so that is ucsa.land.
Now that stands for United Civilians Saving Australia. And so that's what the acronym is, ucsa.land.
Now, in the first instance, there is a document there on the website that you want people to review.
Yep.
Yeah.
Endorsement.
Yes, that's correct.
Our precious endorsement.
And it has absolute. It's got dynamite parts in there. It's undeniable, and we just love people to have a read of it. In particularly the first section up to about section 30. There are 100 sections in there. Please.
Paragraphs, really, aren't they?
Yeah, but please read it all. Take your time to divulge the information in there. Everything in there is 100% fact, undeniable, and we would, we'd love people to endorse it. And this is our way into the ICC and the ICJ. And some of the people may know that they will ask us, you need to have the approval of the Attorney General to file into the ICJ. You don't need it for the ICC, but for the ICJ. But we went around that, and Carl was there, by doing the grand jury in the Parliament House and the second one down at Magna Carta Place. So
indicted him.
Yes, we indicted the Attorney General. So it becomes a conflict of interest for him to become involved. So thank you for all those people that took part in that. And so
Can I just ask, does that extend to whoever takes over? Because at the time we did that, Dreyfus, I think, was the Attorney General. We now have a new one. Dreyfus has resigned or disappeared.
They're in that position of that office, so they will inherit the same problems.
Yeah. So it does carry over.
Yes, it does.
So when people look at this website, ucsa.land, and they get this document, they get to review this document, you've also got a form for people to fill out to sign it online if they so desire. The obvious goal is to get as many signatures as possible, but you want people to review this first, and you're open to having this document questioned. That's the big thing.
We'd love to discuss the document. We're looking forward to discussing and unpacking the document paragraph by paragraph. Every paragraph was very much diligently doted over, and it is our work. It's not AI work. And we have done videos previously on the key findings of removing this act shot behind the Crown. We talk about the Alpha Omega Trust. We talk about the removal of children and how important that is to really flag that child trafficking, and that we are most definitely under occupation. So it goes through and explains how we're under occupation, how the Commonwealth Constitution Act 1900 UK is a foreign act, no one voted for it. So people might freak out if I say that, but please, take the time to read the study document, take the time to read the evidence. We're not just speaking through our hats, though we can if we want to. I can speak through my hat and say the same thing.
Very true.
I can speak through the hat and I'd be saying the same thing, because the evidence is evidence, guys.
Yeah.
So have a look, and let's not get stuck in cognitive dissonance, because it's prima facie evidence. It's really basic. And honestly, the ICC and ICJ, they're waiting for us to come over. They're just waiting for people in this landmass known as Australia to step up and be self-governing. because not only us are done with this bullshit colonialism, so's the rest of the world. So bye-bye imperial parasite, you're going.
I would be being disingenuous if I didn't mention that there are a lot of other people working on different aspects of constitutional fixes, can I put it that way? You are receiving some pushback from some of these people.
I haven't noticed. I haven't noticed. We've been too busy doing our work, so we really don't notice what's...
And look, I understand that position. However, we need to get everybody on board with the plan, and that includes not just the people of the country, but it includes those constitutionalists who've been studying this particular problem for however many years they've been doing it, and some of them have been doing it for extensive years. You guys appear to have identified something that they've all missed.
Major flaw. Whoops.
And do you think that there is an element of embarrassment, or is it a matter of
I don't think
fiscal,
they know.
is it a matter of fiscal dependence? Is that a better way of saying
if they're making a living out of the Commonwealth Constitution and doing things like, making money out of filing into courts, or they're getting a lot of attention for that, or they're making money out of doing, petition of right, which have never really worked. It has worked sort of sometimes, maybe, but it's usually in combination with other
delays things, I find, rather than finishes it.
Well, and it's gotten a whole group of people's guns taken as well recently, that was a bit of pushback on that document. But anyhow, besides all of that, if you are making your money and that's your claim to fame, then you're probably going to take it in a pretty kind of negative way, that we've just completely defunct the entire Constitution and no one's voted for it. And if you do keep wanting to hang on to it, you're completely stomping on the graves of over 61,000 servicemen and women and 155,000 that were wounded at the Treaty of, and we ended up with the Treaty of Versailles. That was after World War I. So that was made as a nation state, which is another boot out the door for the dog old Constitution.
So how do we convince an international court full of people who've probably only ever visited Australia to see the Great Barrier Reef and pat a kangaroo?
They love us, they're waiting for us.
That what you're presenting is true and correct, when we can't convince the experts here in Australia?
They're not experts. Because if they were experts, they'd read the document like Mike Holt read the document and was completely changed in 1 minute or less. So they're not experts. When your cup's full, how can you help anyone? So you don't worry about them, you let them go and they'll figure it out in the long run. All we tried to do was prevent the embarrassment for them, but if they want to go on like that, so be it. But so, what do you want to talk about?
Well, I just want to make a point about that. The prima facie evidence, which is undisputable, is in those two paragraphs, and we won't go into it too much, but they can look at the originating paragraph, or covering clause 2 and covering clause 5, and that's where the biggest problems are.
Yeah.
So, and getting back to the ICC and the ICJ, this is going to be a very easy argument for me to convince them with. It's a paper exercise. Here's the piece of paper. We don't have to convince a jury of it. We just have to say, well, the argument can be won on the paper evidence.
Here's the 1989 draft, and here's the one we got back.
It's what they call a summary. It's what they call a summary decision. We put the paperwork forward that this is the draft bill that the people voted for, which had accountability in there, and this is the one we got back that has no accountability.
So prima facie
and so it's not rocket science.
So if you're correct, and this gets to the International Court, and you win, where does that leave us?
Well, that leaves us in a very good position, because what we'll end up with is a new governing system. We'd love to have some of those courageous constitutionalists, because I was one of them as well. I'm not saying I was courageous, but I'm saying like I was barking down that dirty road. But because all those people have got big hearts.
Yeah.
They really have. We won't mention names, but a couple of them have got humongous hearts. But you have to have your door open, because when new information comes to the door, I mean, even a carpenter who has been a carpenter for 20 or 30 years, if someone comes along and goes, oh, listen, I make these cabinets doing these joints and using this glue, and it sticks together twice as good as what you're doing, the carpenter will look at it.
Yeah.
He doesn't just keep making stuff that can be made substandard. He wants to perfect things. So those constitutionalists need to have a look at what we've discovered, and was sitting there right in front of their faces all the time. We just took the time to look at it.
And this isn't having a go at them at all. This is not a slight at their work.
No, we thought they'd be cheering.
Well, in fact, it's in great part, I imagine, a lot of their work that has led you to this position anyway.
Absolutely. But we just...
No, not for me.
Well, for me it was.
Their work hasn't led me here at all, actually.
Well, it made us put a magnifying glass even further.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what it did do,
and
it
so
did
they
make us answer all those questions they were asking and debunk all of that.
So they were concentrating on the one that was given royal assent, but we wanted to look down at the bill that actually gave them the ability to give it that royal assent, and that's not the one we've got today. So is it okay if I put the bet thing out there today?
Yeah, go ahead.
So we've already put the bet up to Jackie Dundee, who kept throwing rocks and stuff at us and name calling and stuff, but we're not here to cause angst with anybody. So we put a bet out with Jackie, 10-1, you cannot prove that one single Australian has voted for the current version of the Constitution with the accountability removed. Then we raised it to 20-1, and that bet still stands. And we're willing to let people, we want people to have a look at the document, read it, and then you tell us if you think that we're wrong. We would like to be wrong, because then we can move forward in a correct manner. But we don't believe we are, because the paperwork speaks for itself.
And there is a way to be told that you're wrong and be constructive about it, rather than just, you're wrong and I'm not going to look at it anymore.
And name calling and so on.
And carrying on like a pork chop.
That's right.
Because
they can't help it. They haven't read the document yet.
Well, they're following their government's lead and brainwashing. We are shaking cognitive dissonance at its base level here, in not just constitutionalists' minds, but I mean, they're the easiest battle we've got ahead, because there are so many normies out there that do not understand how to spell constitution, let alone what it actually means.
You're exactly right. We are going to simplify it all, and we do have a heart for the masses. It's not just about, showing the truthers who will pick this up very easily. The truthers are really smart. That's why we're all the front runners, and they're going to pick this document up very quickly and go, wow, this is super powerful, and we get civilian protection.
Yeah.
So besides that, we do have to, and we're counting on all the truthers to go out there, be able to study, digest this document and relay it to the people. So when you hear Bob down the corner saying, the bloody tax or the bloody council rates, they're still going up, it's like, you know what, you can do something about that, Bob. Pop online and have a look at this document, and so they just got to whinge a little bit, which is fair enough, whinging about the government, I hear you guys, or about the medical industry or the child trafficking, or you haven't got enough money in the bank, and you can steer them there to the UCSA.land site, and they can then take action and do something about it.
Yeah.
In the most simplest conversation you can bring this up in. You're walking through Woolworths, if you still go there, and you're having a chat, and everyone now you speak to is able to go, yeah, the government sucks, petrol prices are a bit high, that's cool, go and sign the document. We're going to have a new nation state and a new governance, make all of our own diesel. We've got so many great brains. We don't want this kakistocracy, which means, a government of what we've got now, of no skill, irreparable character. We don't want a kakistocracy. We want, like Peter's always said, a meritocracy.
Yeah.
So let's have people with the merit, that have been financially successful, that have expertise in certain fields. That's who you'd want running that area, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like how many times have we said, Scott runs that here, Scott runs 4 or 5 different, portfolios. He's an expert in them all. And they're expert in nothing except lining their own pockets. So that's why we're going over.
Yeah.
They're exploiting us, they're occupying us, and that's what we've found out. And who would have thought they're using the bloody Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act 1900, Act of the UK, everyone, for an act, just saying, to do it all with as a dictatorship.
And can I just make a quick point on that? Even if the constitutionalists were right, which I can assure you they're not, that no one's voted for this thing in, but let's say they were. When anybody reads that covering clause 5, that allows the government to pass all these laws that we have no say in. We're in a representative democracy, which we don't choose the representatives, but we're forced to vote for them. And then they go and pass these laws, which is in the document. They go and pass these laws like the WHO, the WEF, the ASIO bill, and we all jump up and down about it, but there's no public accountability, because we've got you know, judges investigating judges and letting them off, and we've got police investigating police, which we all know is wrong. So if you want
and the suppression orders.
Yeah, and the suppression orders they give them.
Cover all the dirt up behind them.
If you want a repeat of what we've got, then let's bring back the Constitution, because it's one thing to say that you've got these good people now who are fighting for the Constitution. If we all get into government, or they all get into government, whatever that looks like, that's okay under the Constitution while you're around, but soon that's going to be passed over to somebody else. And the covering clause 5 of it sits now, if the Constitution was valid, still allows for corruption to come in the door. And we've got the technology now to, instead of running a representative democracy, we can run a direct democracy through the blockchain voting app that we've built, and someone else can build it. If they've got a couple of $100,000, they can build a good one like what we've done. We're not saying what we've got all, but and the other thing is, if anybody's got any ideas, put them forward.
Yep.
We are
or
outdoors.
criticisms. If people have what they suspect to be a flaw in the plan, you want to know about it.
Yeah, but don't come to us with the criticism without the solution.
Yeah.
That's what the thing is. So
don't come whinging at us. That's not going to be really... I mean, you can whinge a bit, but like...
But as long as you come with the solution.
Because we're doing like full 24 hours a day, non-stop.
It's useless. You know, just
displaced from our home, everything. Like, we're getting raided for you guys. We're getting, like, this stuff's going on. It's no joke what we're doing, and we're doing it so you guys don't have to.
Yeah,
so
there's a reason you're attracting attention.
You join in with us, and more people that come on, the better. We want 100,000, 500,000, 1 million should be just standard for us, unless you want to stay like this.
And nobody wants to stay like
that. No, they don't. Everyone's on the yawn.
We're flying over the target. That's why we get hit. And the people who are running the Constitution, that's exactly where they want you back under, so that they can make laws and force them on the people without our consent. Who was able to stop the ASIO bill? No one. Who was able to stop the WHO treaty, or where they have no accountability, which you just read before, Carl? They have complete immunity, and bring in those laws without being able to say to the parliaments, okay, you damaged us and we're now going to sue you. And this is what happened in that covering clause 2 of the originating one. It had this act binds the crown in there, which gave accountability.
Someone to go and sue.
Somewhere. The buck stopped somewhere. So they took it out, so the buck stopped nowhere now. Yeah.
It hangs in limbo.
It gets swept under the mat in covering clause 5.
All right, guys, I know you've got a long way to go, and I've just received a message from the Queensland Air Force. They've said their helicopter is refueled and they're ready to escort you to the border.
Thanks, guys. Won't be long.
I'm sure New South Wales will pick you up somewhere south of the border.
Yeah, they love us.
Thanks for stopping in and having a bit of a chat, and good luck with this. So the website, once again, is ucsa.land.
Yes.
Go and have a read of this document.
Endorsement, yes.
If you have questions, you can fire them back to you guys through the email, and I'm sure you'll get a very direct answer very quickly. And
I'm sure you might not, because we're still establishing it all. So hang in there. And if you are calling me, I'll just say, please text me your name, because I don't have names and numbers. And Peter's number will be back online in about 2 weeks. We have to transfer the number over because they politely haven't taken and kept our phones.
Of course they have. Yeah. Good on them. All right, guys. Good luck, safe trip, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Thank you very much for having us.
See ya. Blessings to you all.
It was great to catch up with them, and they're looking fit and well, if not a little tired. They have been working flat out on this document, and I urge you to go and have a look at it, have a read of it. And they do point out on the website, ucsa.land, where these main differences are. So go and have a look at it, see what your thoughts are on it, and if you know some constitutionally minded people, have that discussion with them. And if it's a document that you'd like to support, then you can do so on their website and sign it there. As you heard Donna say, they're looking for up to 1 million signatures that would put a fair bit of force behind anything they take to an international court. So if it's something that you feel you would like to go and support, then by all means, it is there for you to go and do so. ucsa.land. There is, as they mentioned, a bit of a bun fight going on between some different groups at the moment. I don't want to get involved in that sort of bullshit. I understand people have some very strong held views. that doesn't make them right. And that goes for each and every side of each and every argument. Just because you hold the view and you believe you're right does not necessarily make you right. And the division that is created by standing your ground, putting your hands on your hips, and having a big dummy spit at anybody who dares to come into the same playground you're in and offer a different solution is no way forward. It goes to show the kind of low vibrational human beings you really are, in my opinion. Unable to level up, unable to look without bias at other people's ideas, are unwilling to judge their ideas against yours in an unbiased fashion. And what's more, in my experience, I've found most of these people, outside of Tim Dwyer, have been very unwilling to share their research in any meaningful way unless you're prepared to become a bloody disciple of them. And I'm afraid I'm nobody's disciple. Most of these groups have not been able to make a coherent argument, not just to me, but to many, many, many other people. That's because while their argument may be strong, they present it in a very aggressive manner, or they present it in a manner that's just too difficult to understand, that it contains far too much minutiae in the detail. And while I understand that minutiae is important, when you are trying to hook a fish, you don't offer up the entire supermarket of bait to it. You just find the bit it likes and entice it in, don't you? You can give it a banquet later when you get it back to the fish tank. But our varied groups find this too difficult to do for whatever reason. And that makes me sad, makes me very sad. Running a little over time, so there's a couple of things I pointed tonight that I was going to talk about and I haven't yet. So the first one is Pauline, not in the country at the moment. She's in the UK. She's been catching up with very important people doing very important things. One of the people she caught up with was Holly Valance, and she did that at Jeremy Clarkson's pub, Diddley Squat. They went and had a meal there, apparently. Holly Valance, of course, supplied a revoiced version of her song for the One Nation movie that came out at the start of the year. And I dare say Pauline was offering her thanks in person for that. And then, of course, she went and caught up and had a drink with another old mate. This one, Tommy Robinson. Now, what do you think this does to the media in this country? The media in this country, and I found myself, I had to write an email to James Weir the other day. Now, none of you probably know who James Weir is, and God bless you for that if you don't. James Weir is a interesting little man who writes, loosely I will call it, the entertainment column for news.com.au. Basically, he spends his days reviewing TV shows like Maths and Farmer Wants to Strangle a Chicken, or whatever the next version is. He has started pouring on the shit onto Karl Stefanovic. Now, news.com.au is owned by Nine, and I am just a little surprised that 2 articles in 2 days, this fella, I'm not quite sure which way he might be a they, them, I don't know. He has written a couple of very bitchy, low-hanging fruit, nasty emails, stories about Karl Stefanovic. Now, I don't know Karl Stefanovic, and I don't have to go and jump in the way of any bullets aimed at Karl Stefanovic. I've got no reason to go out and try and protect Karl Stefanovic. But what I did find was the hypocrisy of this stupid little man sitting in his ivory tower somewhere in Sydney and sticking the boot in. All it would take would be a concerted effort from a few people to email his bosses at news.com.au and explain that they don't like the tone of his story, the gay undertones to it, and the way that he seems to be pushing a certain way of life on people, and that news.com.au should maybe consider getting rid of him before such a group decided to contact all of news.com.au's advertisers and say, do you know what type of weirdo they've got writing stories for them there? We're not going to come into your shops and buy anything from you as long as you're advertising with 9.com.au or news.com.au. How long do you think, James Weir, you and your job would last? I can guarantee you, my friend, that you would last seconds. The decision to flick you would take seconds. If it took them a day or two to figure out that, well, we've got no other way but to get rid of Karl Stefanovic after 21 years, how long do you think it would take them to get rid of you? Should the same orchestrated, delusional campaign befall you? Now, I'm not saying the mad witches or the mad fucking witches, to know their full name, are going to target you, but who's to say they're the only group in town? Others may stand up now and decide that, you know, you're not worthy. And then, because you seem to be stuck in this mainstream media bullshit cycle, and you're young, it's understandable, you think you're at the top of your game, what are you going to do when they sack you? Not if, when. Because they will sack you, have no doubt. May not be over this issue, but it'll be over something. It may not be this week, next year, but it'll happen, have no doubt. If it's not going to happen, you're not doing your job right. So, good luck, James. I hope you become a better writer. So Pauline is now going to be, well, can they vilify her? Because she's actually the leader of the number one party in Australia at the moment, politically speaking. How can they vilify her? They're going to have her on and say, you sat down with Tommy Robinson, they sacked Karl for that. And she's going to say, yes, weren't they stupid? And I think Channel 9 are certainly, well, I know behind the scenes Channel 9 are tearing themselves up over this, literally tearing themselves in half, because half the building wanted him gone for a variety of reasons and have wanted him gone for a couple of years now. And that's why they had negotiated the end of his contract for December this year. He wasn't coming back next year. He was allowed to go out this year and start the Karl Stefanovic program so that he could get a foothold going forward into whatever future held for him after December this year. But then there's a lot of other people at Channel 9 who've been there for the same time who just think Carlos is all right. He's a good guy and there's no reason that he shouldn't be allowed to speak to whoever he wants to in his own show. Now, it's the weak, pathetic individuals, and don't they always wind up in the executive chairs at Channel 9, who have wet themselves over the fact that a group who admittedly does have a bit of power in Sydney and maybe Melbourne to exert pressure on advertisers not to use certain mediums. That's how they got Kyle. They worked very, very hard and had huge amounts of money walk out the door of ARN. And in part, that's what collapsed the deal with Kyle and Jackie O as well. And now not news.com. Wouldn't it be nice if they were threatened with it? Karl Stefanovic was threatened with the same thing in Channel 9. Now, I believe that the advertisers who have stuck with Karl have also been targeted by the mad witches. I don't think they care. What can be done about a group of upset people who band together loosely to send out threatening emails to advertisers, threatening to black ban those advertisers to as many people as they possibly can, so that people refuse to buy products from those advertisers? When it's targeted at an individual, like it was at Kyle and at Karl, I believe both of them have grounds to go after these mad witches. I'm not going to allude to why, but if you've got half a legal mind, you'll probably be going on the same route I am with it. It'll have a lot to do with restraint of trade, amongst other things. But it is coercion. It is coercion of the worst kind. It is blackmail. It is all sorts of nasty, ugly things that these people, these mad fucking witches, are doing. And while they might be doing it for the good reasons of, and I've got to admit, having heard some of the Kyle and Jackie O crap that they were railing on about, and this was going to air in breakfast radio time at a time where kids from kindergarten through primary school to early, all school kids, I suppose, are going to school. And you're hearing about, well, a lot of sexual stuff that is well beyond certainly, preschoolers' years, and certainly I would have thought far beyond primary schoolers as well. And this is all coming out your radio at breakfast time. And because it's cool to listen to them, they'd be screaming in the car if you didn't put Kyle and Jackie O on the radio, or the kids would just plug into their devices and listen to them on that anyway. So the fight is with the mad witches. And Kyle, I don't expect you'll ever see this show, but if anybody knows Kyle, by all means pass on my best and say he needs to start looking at getting a case up against them, and so too does Karl Stefanovic. It could be an earth-shattering case, particularly when it comes to your property portfolios, because it's my understanding that these mad witches are just individual people who own properties all over the place. Well, shouldn't be too hard to get a list of them together and start an action against them all, and your property portfolio could grow quite considerably, I would suggest. But go and get some legal advice from somebody who's actually been to law school before you start taking mine, for God's sake. Here's a little bit of interesting news before we go tonight. As part of Agenda 2030, Australia has launched a massive land buyback campaign. They want to retire your farm. $250 million worth of government buyback is happening. They want to retire farmland. It truly is a great time to be alive, isn't it, folks? Just a great time to be alive. And then finally tonight, here's this little bit of news. I thought this was great. The glitch that causes Telstra software to click back 2 decades. That's what they're calling this huge fuck up from Telstra. The glitch that has taken Telstra back 2 decades. Celebrations are in line, folks, because now at least Telstra's output is matching its customer service. Be safe on the roads. There's dickheads out there. Some of them occasionally come and visit.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!